I think all of this is preparation. I mean, I felt like we were in a pretty good position coming into the Big Ten tournament. It was not I don't think, you never know, but I don't think it was a must-win scenario for us in terms of postseason play. So you want to use that as preparation. And I think tomorrow what's going to be nice about that is we played a lot of home games in April in front of tremendous crowds, but they were rooting for us. This is the matchup that we really, really wanted, just because I think it's an awesome preparation going into postseason. And if you're competitive, our guys, you don't want to. Well, I know how I am with like peanut butter cookies. It's like I don't want to share them. It's like if I get it, I'm not going to share. So I would assume these guys are the same. We don't want to share this thing. We're regular season champions. We would like to go into the off season being the only ones to be able to declare ourselves champions. So our guys will have plenty of motivation, but I think the environment is going to be the best preparation for us, though.
Is there any added intensity or value to this playing Nebraska and didn't play in the regular season? Is the Nebraska innings a part of it?
No. I mean, other than I have a lot of respect for how Darren runs his program, and I think it's if you could have sat down and drawn this thing up before the tournament, outside of, again, if you're the team's exiting, and I don't mean any disrespect, but it's like I think this is what everybody would want. The two top teams playing for a championship in TD Ameritrade Park, who didn't play during the regular season, because I'm sure they sit in their dugout and say we're better than those guys, and I would hope our guys say the same thing. But I'm excited that two really good baseball teams are going to have a championship game for the Big Ten tournament title.
Scott Donnelly's obviously a guy that kind of gets maybe forgotten sometimes in between Kyle and Sam, and then the move on the other end. Just how big was it to see him come through with it when he had to have him right there?
Yeah, I mean he's been that guy. I mean he's always seems to have the big one. I don't forget about him. Because he's been a quality hitter for us. I mean, he's two-time first-team Big Ten DH, so I mean, he has the respect. But he's one of those guys that, in that situation, if you want somebody to come to play, I love listening to his mindset right there, because he goes to the play with a plan, and it was fun for me to hear him talk about it and then execute what he was thinking. But he's a big part of what we do. Big part of what we do.
Timmy O'Connor obviously comes up with one of the big hits. He's had a pretty good week. I guess you obviously wanted to get to him. How big of a situation is that for him to come through for you?
It's huge. I mean, the way this game was going, we were just going to try to put a guy at second and make the pressure be on them, regardless of who was coming to the plate. But that's his. He had a big one like that a couple weeks ago, and it may not be the prettiest thing in the world, but he competes in the batter's box, and at the end of the day, you can have a great looking swing, a pretty swing, and if you don't compete, I'd rather have the ugly one that competes. And I thought he did an excellent job in that scenario.
Tracy, you mentioned that you've been pleased about having different guys come in that have started and made a difference this week. Is your team in a groove, or are you just trying to stay out of their way right now?
I do try to stay out of their way. I mean, it's funny. People always, what's your man? I think the game kind of manages itself. You push a few buttons here and there, but the players are playing a good style of ball right now. Yes, there's not a lot for me to do other than to sit back and, guys pulling off, maybe make some statements like that, but just pitching changes, which again, I know you probably thought it was unorthodox bringing that in there, but, those types of things. But these guys they've been in a groove for a while.
I guess the pitching situation in general, what's up with Cordy? What led to Evan getting the start?
We want to rest him. I mean, I just think it's one of those things. He wanted the ball, but we wanted to give him a little bit of rest, just based on how he felt after his last start. But he thought he was starting, but we just, and as I said, and I've been saying through this entire tournament, is our goal is to make sure our guys are ready for next week. And I just thought, we don't need him to pitch this week, so let's just rest him.
Does he have any kind of arm issue?
No, he had a little tenderness in his forearm, and it's just one of those. He threw the other day, threw fine. We just said we're not, we're going to rest him.
What's the plan going forward? What made you decide to go with Evan over?
Matchups. It's from here on out. I mean, you think back to our run to the World Series last year. We had our number 2 all year, Kyle Hart, did not pitch in any postseason, and it was more based on matchups and what we were facing. So you'll see a lot more of that. as we're fortunate enough, hopefully, to stay in this thing. But it's going to be matchups here. Joey Donato is going to pitch, I can tell you that. And then after that, we'll play matchups.
You got an idea who you're going with tomorrow?
Who are we going? Stadler will go tomorrow, I'm sure. I mean, I don't know who we have left. So, yeah, no, and he's been our midweek guy. We feel very comfortable with him, but I'll reiterate. I mean, our thing is, yes, we want to win, but we also want to make sure we're in good shape for next week.
What made you decide on it that Evan was going to be the guy? What did you like that you've seen about him?
He's been throwing a better breaking ball. I didn't think he had a great breaking ball today. But he's been, attacking. As I've said, in this park, you throw strikes, you give yourself a chance to win. I know he walked a couple. One we did intentionally after he fell behind. But he's a strike thrower with multiple pitches. So.
You mentioned the atmosphere. I mean, I'm sure you guys have been in the stadium to hear how do you think you guys are going to handle that tomorrow? It's tough to tell.
I thought the 12,319 in today's game was a little quiet as I'm looking here. Our guys will be fine with it. The World Series was fun. The trek through to the World Series through Florida State was beyond anything that you could even describe, that I can sit here and describe. So our guys will. I mean, I want to say this. I want to thank the Nebraska fans for their enthusiasm for this tournament, because it has made the experience for the kids. Because our guys were like, gosh, we want to hopefully get to that championship game so we can play in front of that crowd. Our guys are looking forward to it. We're not, there'll be a long trip home for somebody if they let the crowd get to them, because we played much more hostile than this. So, but these are very educated fans. They're great baseball fans, and they're the model really for a lot of program. I hope a lot of people are watching the Big Ten, because that's what it can be. And we absolutely love it and appreciate it.
You speak to a lot of people wanting to watch the Big Ten. If you could just comment on Jake Boss's club, so that's a typical Jake Boss team. And also, Illinois is eliminated, just their case as to why they shouldn't field.
Well, the Jake Boss team, as I said, they're always solid. They're gonna knock it around. They're gonna play fundamental. They always have arms. I said before the tournament started, one of the most dangerous teams in this thing is Michigan State, because they pitch and play very fundamental baseball, and they got some physical guys. So it's typical Jake Boss team. The second about Illinois and their chances.
Being eliminated.
Well, I mean, they're a good ball club, absolutely. I mean, it'd be interesting to see how that all plays out. Will we get the respect in the Big Ten? I'm a little, and I would say Dan would probably say the same thing, to go 1-2, right? I think that's, to go 1-2 was probably not what they wanted to do, because now you make it more up in the air. But they've got quality arms. They're an athletic team. They play good defense. Anything can happen in baseball, which had happened in this tournament. They just made an early exit, but I'll be anxious to see. I would assume that regardless of tomorrow's winner, we're going to have two of them in there, and it'd be nice to see Illinois be the third.
Is there anything particularly Netflix on the championship eve?
Actually, I started West Wing last night, that old series, and I was cracking up because they had giant televisions and everybody was using pagers. So I got to get up to date. And I did go to Godzilla by myself yesterday. Oh, recommend it. Oh, no players wanted to go. My wife said, "Are you surprised?"